Welcome to What the Heck's, your source for Warhammer Underworlds in under 30 new hosts on the podcast. I am your long-running co-host, Davy. And not with me today is Phil. Phil is dealing with some family issues. He's okay. His wife's okay. But it's some serious stuff that he just needs to be able to take some time off. So listeners, send some good thoughts his way. He's doing all right, but we're giving him a well-earned break. In his place, it takes three people to replace him. We have Josh, Skyler, and Brian. How are you doing, fellas? I set you up for all three.
I was trying to avoid the talk over there.
Yeah. I was gonna see if you guys would take the bait. It would be an awesome introduction if you just all talk about over each other. Skyler and Brian have been on before as guests. I think both times as battle reports. Is that right, Skyler? What were you on for? Do you recall?
Yeah, for teaching new people.
That's right. And Brian, you were on for a battle report. Is that correct?
Yes, Klopek versus
someone. A astute listener is going to get us there. Josh, you have not been on, but you are also a person. So
this is a fact. I am indeed a person.
Josh, you are on our WTC team. You did not play with us at Adepticon because you're too cool, I guess. But
I'm just too good for y'all. I didn't want Skyler and Brian going home with nothing on their first round.
Yeah,
we needed a cheerleader.
We did, and he wore it well, folks. So these fellas are here. We've been talking for a little while about expanding the What the Heck's host stable. Just to give us a little bit more redundancy. For a long time, Phil and I have been a two-person show, and as soon as one of us goes down, we don't have any redundancy. So you're going to hear from these three guys now. We are going to be rotating hosts in and out as people have a topic that's passionate to them, and as you know, that way we can kind of lean on each person's strengths and that sort of thing. So take this episode to get to know these guys a little bit better. If you hate them, let me know. I got no fear of booting these fools off. No, they're a great part of our community. They're stalwarts in our league. Kind of the introduction to these fellas really kind of took what was just kind of motoring along in first gear and really jumped our leagues off to our local scene to greater heights, and it's been amazing for the underworld scene in Madison. So
yeah, I got these two fools into underworlds, and then Skyler looked for where our local scene was, and we showed up, and we had Phil, Davy, Jazz, Alex, and the Jazz ensemble.
Yeah,
and we three showed up and made it a real squad.
Yeah.
So now we're in full force with the league.
Yep. For context, we are recording this on September the 21st. The Gorechosen have been out for not a super long time as far as their actual release. Did they just drop this last Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, they've been out for about 5 days in the wild. And for that reason, we are bringing you a little Gorechosen brawl. We are running a battle report, and one of the advantages of kind of expanding our group is that we were actually able to run 3 different games, try and find what were interesting matchups, try out if we had like just a grotesque blowout or something like that. We're like, we'll put that off to the side, but we can still reference those today just to give you sort of a deeper coverage of the topic. So that's some of the things that this is going to bring. It didn't start out as a plan this way, but what we did was we played a game, Gorechosen versus each of the other 3 Nethermaze warbands. So that would be Hexbane's Hunters, the Shadeborn, and Shmeshma's Clawpack. What is that dude's name? Skittershank's Clawpack. I always want to call him Spike Claw. So maybe it's just Spike Claw with a different hat. But So we ended up, we're going to be talking about the Gorechosen versus Shadeborn match is the one that we're going to highlight out of those, but with reference to some of those other ones. And that'll be Brian and I playing that one. And we're going to have Josh and Skyler kind of run us through that. But before we get there, we have some of our standard segments. We're all about community here in Madison, so we want to do some community shout outs. Fellas, who's got something they want to shout out?
Well, keeping it local, I'll have Josh start off.
Yeah, sure. So we have a gentleman who goes by the name of Cerberus on our Discord, and just wanted to give him a quick shout out for just being an absolute trooper, going through his lumps and learning the game and getting better along the way. Kind of starting out all the way from all the silly mistakes that we all kind of go through. For example, here we had a point where we were talking deck building, and he had dominant position and path to victory in an exiled dead deck, not realizing
super secret tech. Wow.
I know, super secret tech. Not realizing that the zombies can't hold objectives. They're just not enough brains.
Yeah.
So shout out to him for really getting after it, really taking that to heart and sticking with it.
And shout out,
position,
yeah. Shout out to all the people on that grind. It's not all about like winning that big trophy. Sometimes it's about getting that first win, and it feels good when you get it. So, Skyler, you got anything?
Absolutely. Set the Tempo, run by Compact, had an article that came out that is perfect for our episode today. It is very tongue-in-cheek and all about our new Gorechosen. Also, a little bit of a fall into madness as somebody acclimates themselves to what it's like to worship corn.
Yeah, he really leans into the theme there, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Brian, how about you? Any community shout-outs?
So we all four of us went to Adepticon, and LVO just happened a couple weeks ago. So I wanted to shout out the next big convention. If there's any other events, tournaments on your radar coming up in the local area, let us know. We'll be happy to shout it out. But the next big convention that I'm aware of is the Las Vegas Open. Happens every year, late January in Las Vegas. And they have two events this year. They have a Rivals format that will be played on Friday, the 27th of January. Best of one matches. Looks like 6 matches. Goes all day. So give them a look. And then on the following day, Saturday the 28th, they start their Open Grand Clash Championship format. Best of 3 matches. 4 matches on day 1. And 3 matches on day 2 with a cut. So that's Saturday and Sunday, the 28th and 29th of January, 2023.
That is LVO. The other tournament that just wrapped was Nova.
Yeah.
Yes.
V's and O's all over the place, but we can get there. For me, as far as an event goes, this is an online event that I wanted to mention. The last qualifier for the Vassal Brawl is happening on October 2nd. It is awesome. Skyler and I both took a shot at it on the first qualifier. Skyler, did you take another dig at it, or?
Yes,
you did.
Jumped in on the first and the third qualifier this go around. Did not perform well in either. There's some excellent competition there and some great people to chat with during your games there.
Yeah,
it's really great meeting the community in that way. The Vassal players are all just fantastic people.
Yeah. So like last qualifier again is October 2nd. Check it out. Hop in if you can. And then once that qualifier is done, they'll set a invitational, and that is super fun to follow and watch because that is some really high quality, high level play. And they sometimes get it going with live commentary, which is super fun. Big fan of that. That is a whole bunch of community stuff. Let's talk about what's going on with the folks right here on this podcast. What the heck is going on with you? This is where we talk about what we've been doing game wise or painting wise. Just pick a highlight from your recent hobby and lay it on us. we'll get to Brian and I in a second. We had a real Underworlds heavy day today, the two of us. Skyler, what about you? What you been doing lately?
I've been up to running our local league. That's been an absolute joy. We're actually on our second 8-week long league at the new location that we play at here in Madison. And we've had absolutely blew my mind. The first day of our first flight at the new location, we had 16 people show up.
Oh my gosh.
Which like doubled what we would normally see on a weekly basis. So it blew my expectations out of the water. We had 20 people interacting with that first league locally, and a few cameos, as I started affectionately calling them, when people would show up and hang out for one or two of the league days, participate, and get to know the locals. And this time, with the summer, a lot of people are out on vacation, but we still have strong attendance. We still have at least 12 people participating to their fullest to try to compete for that top cut of 4 that actually is going to take place tomorrow. So that'll be really exciting. And many others that have made sure to come out and still participate, let us know that they're alive and their summer's going well.
Yeah. How about you, Josh? What the heck's going on with you, bud?
I like that you deferred to me because you guys had a very Underworld heavy day, and I had pretty much exactly the same thing, except I wasn't actually playing. I was over here on the sidelines watching updates about both of their games going on, and it was, oh man, I don't usually go for sports much. I'm not much of a sports watching kind of guy, but I think I get the hype now. There was a lot of cheering on this end that my spouse might have thrown a couple sideways glances at me, and I'm like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" So in addition to that, I've been preparing. I made the top cut for the local tournament going on here. So
local league.
Oh, the league, right? Got to use my big boy words. So the league made the top 4 cut for that. So trying to decide who I want to bring to that tomorrow. I'm still not 100% on who I'm going to use for that.
I was going to say dance with the one that brung you, but there is a kind of mini meta where you know who the other people in the cut are. And so rather than have a warband that is for our full league meta, you really just have to look at what you think the other 3 in that cut are bringing. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I know if Skyler decides to bring the oh goodness, the fish folk, then I know I don't have a snowball's chance in Arizona, but we'll see what we got.
That's kind, but the Soul Raider's staying home, I promise.
Oh, all right.
Oh, well then I have a prayer.
Okay. Brian, what have you been up to?
All right. Well, like we were saying today, started off, woke up, caught the last half of Davy's matchup in WTC. Us 4, including Phil, so 5, are on our WTC team for What the Hex, WTC World Tournament, 8-man teams, and been cheering everybody else on. Been really great collaborative effort to get everybody prepared and put our best foot forward, and been cheering everybody on. Today, this morning, I woke up and provided a little color commentary on Davy's game as he finished out his victory. Congrats.
Yeah.
And then we had our practice game that you're going to hear about in a little bit, followed then by my match for WTC. Got a really bad broken nose in the first round, felt the ship listing, almost tilted, but stuck in there, maintained the glory train with 1 fighter remaining. Shout out to my opponent, Olivier. Excellent opponent. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. And then I managed to Glazette did him dirty in game 2, and then I pulled out the victory in game 3, turned it around. Great opponent, great games. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and the peanut gallery was blowing up the notifications with the commentary for my game, so that was
it's funny.
Many gifts. It was
you sometimes have to like mute Discord while you're playing if you're in that team environment because you'd be playing and all you hear is badoop, 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 and you're like, oh god, all right guys, like I can't step away just yet.
I'm playing Dread Pageant, so I reveled in it.
It is fun. I mean, we've talked about this in the past, like team events, pretty amazing. And I'm glad you guys are kind of getting to experience it now. Just that sort of team environment, it happens before the game, it happens during the game, it happens after the game. The coaching, the excitement, and then the congratulations or the commiseration after the fact, and all the planning and all that sort of thing. I won't reiterate too much what these guys have already said, other than to say that Brian, who has played a lot of Gits, was able to give me a lot. I'm the non-playing coach unless somebody can't make their match, and then I will fill in on their behalf. So Phil, I'm not able to play his match, so I stepped in with Mollog. I only had the one practice game with that deck, and so I was really kind of fishing for some hive mind help there, and Brian was able to provide a lot of Gits expertise on that, and we came up with some good strategies. And then I promptly forgot it in the second game of the match. Just spaced a pretty crucial delve that almost cost the game, but managed to turn around. And that's that. It's been a lot of Underworlds, and that is okay by me. But we've been at it for a little bit, and we haven't even hit our main topic. Let's do it. You guys, anybody got anything else they want to hit before we get there to the Gorechosen Rumble?
Let's dive in.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Blood and
Fire
Shadow.
away.
So Skyler is going to be the one running us. So Skyler, I'm going to hand the reins of the podcast over to you. Treat her nice.
All right, here we go. So to kick us off, we have Davy piloting the Shadeborn today, and Brian kicking off.
How'd they get Dusty already? What is going on? All right.
Hey man, I was on the receiving end of the Gorechosen last two games, and finally got to pilot them.
Yeah,
That's got to feel good.
Yeah.
So Brian's piloting the Gorechosen for us today, and got to get some context, with 2 games of playing against them prior to piloting them. So let's see how these boys do.
Yeah.
All right. So let's kick off.
Sorry. So just to talk about the decks a little bit, I'm playing a variation of the deck that was built in the Gorechosen episode. I did make a bunch of swaps and basically wanted to be in their territory, not concerned with feature tokens, and brought a lot of heal tech. Was hoping to bring a team of Mologs and be disgusting with my heal resilience.
Oh gosh, the Mollog trauma.
I will say that we kind of overlooked the heal factor, and with that many big guys, that was something we probably should have leaned into more. So it was interesting to see how that played out.
Oh, I made my own mistakes too.
Oh, we'll cover those
In great detail.
All right. Davey, would you like to talk about your deck a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So this is a Shadeborn deck that is based off of some things that I've seen floating around. Honestly, I think I stole it from round 1 of the Vassal Brawl. I played against a couple Shadeborn players, and a lot of our Shadeborn players locally have been fairly aggro, and these ones had a little more ability to kind of sit back and score, not fully passively, but to score without having to run at somebody, which I thought was maybe much more likely what we would run into at WTC if we ran into it. So I put this together. There are a couple of kill surges in there. There's 3 different pings. The only card I salted in from the most recent release is the totally insane high candidate for restriction. We must go deeper, double push, which is great for anyone insane for Shadeborn who want to be on cover anyway. And that is it. It's a 17 glory deck, but it does include Proud Commander, so it's a little potentially slowed in that respect. But a lot of pings, a lot of chip damage, which I was honestly a little worried about into Gorechosen. I was like, they're gonna be drowning in Blood Tithe. I might get inspired, but they will too. So I didn't really know how that would shake out. It's kind of why we're interested in trying that matchup.
All right. So, jumping into the game here, we have it looks like a roll off one by Brian.
Mhm.
Brian, what do you decide off that first roll off? Are you going to grab boards here? Are you going to do objectives?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I chose board positioning.
You definitely did. You played around with the possibility of throwing out long boards, but
Yeah.
I had to place
So
first, and that means that I took a look around and I took every Shadeborn player's favorite board, the Profane Larder. It's the one that's got two cover down the middle and then one lethal off to the side. Um, that lethal is kind of a little bit scary sometimes, especially if you're trying to hang back and maybe are next to it. It's caused me problems more than once, but the extra cover on there helps for a lot of the objectives I have to score. So I threw that down, and then it was up to you.
yeah, so the board I picked was trying to look for best launch points. So I went with the Tortured Coil. A little risky. I made Davy question my sanity here by placing the boards longboarded, which he was eager for, but I quickly stopped flirting with that idea.
Yeah, so I've got advantage on these. My plan was to. I figured he was coming my way anyway. So unlike some other matchups, I wasn't crazy about getting a bunch in his territory because they'd be essentially dead. I was looking for places that uh, I could have a one hex push if I drew the right cards and step into get onto cover in some way. Where I've got defensive advantages, where a lot of my cards give me advantages, and where a lot of my objectives score. So I was looking for easy ways to get on that, load up my territory with feature tokens of all types and sorts. And Brian filled in with that too. I think where you were kind of loading up my territory. I remember hearing you talk about a landing spot or something like that.
Yeah, I just threw a gloom next to an objective so that I could land and try and take somebody out if they were trying to hold an objective.
All right.
It's just right across the line over No Man's Land as well.
So, Josh, looking at these two boards, we've got 5 feature tokens in Davy's territory, giving him a total of 7 cover spots out the gate, and 2 feature tokens hanging back in Gorechosen territory. I'm aware that Gorechosen has some cards that could potentially score for proximity to No Man's Land. How are you feeling on your side looking at this board? Do you think it favors one side over the other?
So as I'm looking at this board, it's an interesting kind of conflict between these two war bands because on the one hand, Gorechosen definitely want to be, like you said, in or near that no man's land, but at the same time, the Shadeborn want to be in the Gloom hexes. So we've overloaded the Shadeborn side with Gloom hexes. So I'm anticipating that they're not going to have a whole lot of work ahead of them as far as being in those, but at the same time, it's still very out in the open, and engaging in combat is dicey business.
And at this point, neither of us know if we are rocking the Fearless Seekers Horrors in the Dark combos. So there's only 2 tokens that he can use in my territory. Meanwhile, there's tons in his.
Yeah, and 2 just over the line for you if you go that route.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. So, going into drawing your hands, let's start with Brian. What's a good hand look like for you? Do you end up mulliganing anything here?
Well, I know how this game ends, so I'd. But I ended up drawing what I thought was a great power hand. I have Ferocious Bite, Spirit Comb, Victory's Reward, Center of Attention, and We Must Go Deeper. So I got 2 pushes, 2 heals, and the New Age Augmented Limbs. Victory's Reward is a card that I was eyeballing before, and I thought it was perfect for them. Its reaction after the successful range 1, range 2 attack action takes a target out of action, heal the friendly fighter 2, or give that fighter a guard token. If you're Khorne, you get both. So I kept the power in my objective hand, I have Chum the Waters, Wasteland, and Unafraid. So 3 end phases. I wound up mulliganing those and kept my power hand.
Okay,
right.
so tell me more about why you got rid of Unafraid and Wasteland, because those seem pretty easy out the gate.
Yeah, I didn't know how this was going to go. I wanted to, if I could get Ferocious Bite rolling earlier with a Surge, hopefully wanted to do that. I didn't know if the Shadow Elves were going to try and teleport into my territory, and then I wouldn't be able to get Unafraid because they would just be trying to do hit and run tactics on me, so I wasn't sure at that point. Chum, I don't have any ping, which probably a mistake, but
Fair.
and so I ended up drawing into Primal Display, the Brutal Reckoning, which is another Surge for killing an enemy fighter out of action, and I have a Blood Tithe or a Wound Token on, and Bold Deed, so be in enemy territory. Meanwhile, I think Davy wound up mulliganing both of his hands.
Everything.
Mhm.
It was a pretty easy decision for me on objectives because I had Proud Commander Wasteland and the Shadows Deepen. Those are all end phase scores. Proud Commander is a third end phase score. It's one of those things. Proud Commander was the first one I drew, and it's like, ooh, I hate seeing it as the first card I draw because I'm worried if the next two are like really good surges, then I guess I'm holding this hand. A little tougher, and actually Brian even questioned my choice at the time, which is valid. Was my power hand, which I chose to mulligan, and that was it was Great Fortitude, Silent Helm, Great Strength, 3 pretty great upgrades, and then Cover of Darkness and Duel of Wits. I probably should have held on to that. I think I've just gotten in those environments where Duel of Wits doesn't trigger, like somebody holds their power cards for a long time, and I think I panicked as well because I did not know what I was going to see for my objectives after I mulliganed, and so I think I was hoping for more pushes and pings to really kind of get my inspiration and positioning started at the beginning. And I mulliganed into Branching Fate, Sudden Revelation, and Elimination Order. So Elimination Order is a kill surge. That one's kind of dead out of the gate here. I'm really unlikely. It'll be a lot of work to try and kill one of these big boys on the way in. And then I was pretty happy with the power hand. I did have 2 pushes, so I had Mirror Move and I had We Must Go Deeper. So we both got those. I've got another defense for extra defense. I've got Voidling, which is a Shadeborn only card, which gives single supports or successes on attacks, cover dependent, and on defense, cover dependent, depending on position with those. It's a pretty powerful card. And then Phantom Darts, which is fine. I was looking at Phantom Darts. I was like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, oh man, this is just the thing I was worried about, where I'm just going to be handing the Blood Tithe. But we'll see what we can do.
All right. Let's fast forward through placements here. So we have a roll off going to Davy on placement. So I imagine you're going to have Gorechosen go first here.
Sure am.
Given the 3 models to your 4. So fast forwarding through the 7 fighters, we have 3 Gorechosen sitting just next to the line, as close as they can get, up to 2 hexes away from No Man's Land. Whereas we have the Shadeborn keeping it cool, chilling in the back, all adjacent to at least 1 cover hex each. 3 of them adjacent to their choice of 2. Any read on how this is looking, Josh?
So it looks really favorable for the Shadeborn right now. Like you mentioned, they've got their pick of all of the different Gloom hexes, whether that be the natural ones on the board or the tokens. So even if the Gorechosen have some control tech in there to shift things around, I mean, there's plenty of gloom to go around. I'm real curious to hear from Brian why he put Drom off to the side, because I know in some of the conversations we've had so far, he's mentioned that Drom really needs to be protected. Like, there's a lot of tech that kind of revolves around him, and he's a little out of the way, but still targetable by the flighty elf types. So I'm curious to hear what that's about.
Yeah, so a theory of mine is that Drom is similar to Diantelos for this warband in that he ought to be protected because a lot of cards become dead if you really tech into those priest cards. Now, this was kind of an experiment in one way to protect him, in that I was trying to do like a denied front. So he's got from left to right, Velissa, Drusilla, Sylark, and then Slithale. And from left to right, from my perspective, or left and right, opposite them is Drom, Gorehulk, and Herix. So my plan here is that Herix is going to come full left across towards Velissa and kind of be my meat shield, and Gorehulk and Herix would run interference with Drom being on the other side, and I would just kind of try and clear one side, sweep across.
Okay.
All right, let's see how the dice start tumbling. So, kicking off with first activation here after a roll off.
Yeah, I actually managed to steal the priority on this, even though he's got the free crit for the first done deploying. And I gladly make him go first because right now I kind of forget just how far Herix can go, but Drom without help can't get a charge in. Gorehulk can charge my least important Velissa.
Well, Drom is range 2, so Drom could make a charge and get in on Velissa right
That's
now.
true. I guess what I'm saying is Velissa is vulnerable, and I'm kind of forgetting that Herix can pop out to range 2. So Herix has actually got a couple people that he can get at if he wants to.
Yeah, he may have the dad bod, but he's a sprinter, not a marathoner. He can make it.
Yeah. But I did decide that I'd rather have Brian go first.
Yep.
All
and
right.
I kick off with a charge with Herix, moving 4 across, doing that denied front. I'm spending the blood tithe to make it range 2 and swing at Velissa with a big ol' whiff.
Yep, I was ready for some problems here, but nope.
And into power, then we must go deeper coming out from Davy.
Yep. I really wanted to get Slithale onto cover, Drusilla onto cover, because Slithale all of a sudden has a whole lot of flexibility with where she goes if she can get onto cover without a move or charge token. I originally was going to go onto a printed cover and then realized that this is kind of my chance to score sudden revelation. By putting Slithale onto a feature, I put her next to a lethal, which is actually fairly dangerous. I don't know if I should have been more conservative, gone onto a cover, and then used an activation to just move a guy onto, charged Sylark or something on. But this also gets the other thing I was doing is getting Drusilla into her range 2 of Herix, where Herix had charged to.
At this point in time, you're probably pretty safe there too, given the fact that Herix would have been your only threat, and he's charged.
This is correct, yeah. I think we closed out with that, and then I just scored sudden rev, and I think we're on to the activation. I don't think there was any other fancy stuff happened here.
All right. So going into the next activation, looks like dice are going down. Not quite sure from where to where.
I'm going with a Drusilla attack to Herix. Figure I'd chip some damage in, get Drusilla hurt. Get Drusilla, lay some damage on there so I can start working some Inspires. And Herix, if I can chip some damage off as the smallest of the fighters, that gets me the chance to actually score that kill surge that I have. Unfortunately, Drusilla, I picked up 3 dice that all had smash on them and rolled them, and they all had smash on them. So I was as far away from Branching Fate as you could get, and also completely missed. So
All right. Brian took a damage there and then pulled it away.
Yeah, I think he thought he thought she was 3 on Smash or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was one of those conversations where I was like, we both understood the role differently. I was like, he seems kind of bummed about this whiff. I wonder if he had contested equals in hand or something, and was hoping that would go off. But.
Funny. All right, so then into power, kicks off with a Dell from Slythale to shore up that cover position, give you that launching platform later. And then for Brian up next, we have a move from Drom down into the muck of it. He's going to end up positioned adjacent to both Herrick's and Velissa with reach on Drusilla, and only a move.
Yeah, Josh. I needed to protect Drom, right?
I was just about to say, I feel like this was a lesson learned right here, if I'm remembering some conversations correctly.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Oh, well, I wonder what happens next, folks.
If I can posthumously justify myself, I still have 2 kill surges in hand, so any kill will pop both of those off if I one-shot the fighter. So yeah. I was trying to optimize an attack with Drom and or Gorehulk with a support, but I'm also standing in cover against Shadow Elves.
Smart. Yeah. I think you mentioned to me that also like this kept Drom's Enrage ability open as a possibility, which is true. Like I spent a lot of time wearing, just because it's such a crazy ability, such a weird ability, and this is where he can get somebody on friendly or enemy to charge if they're close enough. And so this was kind of mentally taxing me the whole time, where I was like, all right, like if this person gets forced to charge, what is my plan for that? But this move here puts Drom in range of Drusilla, and I was like, oh, well, now Drusilla has range to Drom and supports, and I care a lot more about Drom than Herax, who now has no tithe counters because he came in and whiffed. So actually, this is a much better target. Let's go with this.
And with that, into activation 2.
Yeah. I do the crit and 2 successes. A crit, swords, single support. That's going to go through, and that's going to score Branching Fate for me, which is pretty sweet. So I get to lay 2 on Drom, and that feels good. I haven't played a ton of Shadeborn, so I'm like, oh, I'm going to inspire now. I'm like, no, actually, I have to still attack again before I get there. So waiting on that. After scoring Branching Fate, I draw into my other kill surge. So now sitting on 2 kill surges and contest equals, which is obviously a real nice surge heavy hand. All stuff that is scoreable, and I do actually have eyes on Drom. I'm like, okay, he's getting in the range of killable. I have 2 activations left. I might actually be able to knock Drom down in the first round, which would be huge. But we'll need some things to keep going my way.
So you drive him back there, Drom, onto a cover feature hex there. Is that because you have ping on the way, or?
I don't have ping. I do have Voidling. Voidling is something that'll help with if he's on or adjacent to cover, which he already was. But I do have Phantom Darts, so that spot I could hand Phantom Darts to Slithale, and then Slithale can throw Phantom Darts at him. So I'd be rolling 4 dice with a Grievous attack, and I can get him all the way down to 1 away from dead. I don't have any ping, but it's possible I would draw into it in the next round if we get that far, or I mean, really just kind of get him sweating, because he knows he can presume with this kind of deck is that I'm carrying a lot of ping in it, and kind of make him sweat that.
Absolutely. If you toss me on cover with a drive back, I would start doing mental jumping jacks, trying to figure out how in danger I am.
Yeah. And I'm trying to maybe make him waste a push to push off of it. I don't know what he's got. He's still got a full power card hand.
Yeah, and I do have 2 heals in hand, so I was feeling
that I don't know.
Confident. I was feeling unreasonably confident right now. But yeah, so then for my third activation, I charge in with the Garhulk to take the spot that Drom just vacated, swinging into Vasilla and getting a kill.
Yeah.
2 dice swords for 3 damage, and got 1 success to her shield, which is not a success for the Shadow Elves.
Yeah. That's that Gristlewill attack profile, man. We all know how accurate that is. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was feeling pretty cheeky. Again, overly confident. Because I take Primacy. I score a Brutal Reckoning and Primal Display. And so that's 3 glory for the kill and Primacy for a 4th. I drew into Savage Slaughter, which is another kill surge, and Untouchable Fury, which is I get attacked and don't die by the attack.
So, remind me real quick. Velissa has 3 health. I can't see on the.
Correct.
Yeah. So all the minion elves, they're not actually minions. All the non-leader elves in this warband have 3 health.
Got it. Wasn't sure if the quote unquote least important had 1 fewer health.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, she just has an attack profile that I'm not a fan of. Generally, she can really leverage like great strength because she gets kind of double benefit from it if she can land both attacks.
And she was the only one in range of the Gorehulk, which was the only one I could move at this point. Drom's still capable of swinging for my 4th if he were to move somebody in range.
Totally makes sense. I was more curious if she did have 2 health, why you didn't go for the strangle, but that definitely makes sense.
All right, on to next activation then.
I was going to say there's some power step maneuvering here.
Absolutely. Feel free to take the reins on that.
Sure. So I play out Voidling on Slithale, who is 4 hexes away from Drom, but my intention is to put Phantom Darts on Slithale so that I can be rude and have supports on this throw.
Yeah, I didn't have enough upgrades. It's too early in the game, so I spent Spirit Comb on Drom to take him to 4 wounds remaining.
Yep. And then I do put Phantom Darts on to gear up for that attack. I guess from your perspective, were you worried that I would find some way? Yeah, because you got to worry about the ping, so you can't afford to wait too long on this.
Nah, I'm still unreasonably confident right now.
But yeah, then I go ahead and make that attack, and it's another great roll. There's 3 successes and a crit in there. Fury, single support, thanks to Voidling, and that's going to go through. So not just go through, but go through Grievous.
All right, but I scored a glory.
All right.
So I put Ferocious Bite on the Gorehulk because it is only for range 1 attacks, and couldn't put it on Drom.
So we're in the power after the Slithale attack. Yep. Is that where we're? Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So in 3, 2, 1. So after the activation from Slithale here, we have Brian repositioning a little with We Must Go Deeper, bringing Herrick's 1 closer into the mix onto a cover and within 2 of Drusilla and Slithale. Skyler just out of reach at that range 3. No Blood Tithe counters on Herrick's at this time to pump him going into the next activation. And we have We Must Go Deeper, also bringing Drom tagging along 1 behind Herrick's there. So we'll be within range 3 of Slithale and 2 of Drusilla. How do you guys feel about the first 3 activations so far?
I like it because I feel like I've got an angle on Drom now. I've managed to inspire a fighter. I'm going to be coming in fairly accurate. So I have my sights on Drom, which is a valuable kill, and then also 2 surges that would score off of that if I manage to pull it off.
Yeah, and I'm holding now that Drom is inspired because he got injured. He got injured twice, So now he's throwing 3 dice, looking for swords for 2 damage with Grievous. I have a kill surge in hand, and I have a heal reward for getting a kill.
Oh,
so
that's
I
right.
have Drusilla in range, and I believe I'm going to play another ploy here to help set that up further. So still unreasonably confident.
Yeah, I did actually react off of this.
Yeah.
Off of your, we must go deeper to mirror move Drusilla to an edge hex. I didn't love this because I was getting off of a cover, which I still have all these surges in hand, and there's a good chance I may draw into something that wants me to be on cover in the end phase, but couldn't afford Drom swinging at me with that inspired stat line.
So you took Drusilla away from me, so instead I pivoted to using Center of Attention on Herex to pull Slithale closer, now putting her between. So I've got Drom swinging over Herex's head into Slithale with her standing right in front of a lethal hex, so I'm feeling this is a fair trade.
Yeah, this is really rough for me because Drom now has Grievous, thanks to all the little pings I've done to him. And Drom with the crit and the drive back will kill Slithale if that happens the way you're hoping.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a big oh no moment for the Shadeborn.
Yeah.
If is good. All right, so then Drom will swing into Slithale. 3 dice swords, rolling 2 hammers and 1 support for a single success, but Slithale is able to pull off the single success, and I only managed to push her back into the lethal, and he scores contest of equals off of it.
Cool. That's always the worst feeling in the world, right?
There's a few worse, but yeah.
I drew into yet another surge with Winged Death. Winged Death is actually a hard score on this because you've come so aggressively towards me. It's hard for me to find a place to charge you, even with all my like increased mobility that is 6 away. I might be able to figure out with Skyler if he were inspired and could do the shadow ambush, but he can't. But that lethal was on an edge hex, so Slithale was able. I mean, it doesn't actually matter here because Slithale can just walk there like some kind of peon, but she'd rather shadow
like
ambush.
Some sort of corn worshiper.
Yeah, some sort of peasant.
I've never considered scoring Winged Death with shadow ambush, and you just blew my mind a little.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, sometimes it's amazing. I've actually been in this position quite a bit, though, where the battle lines got so close together that I didn't have a good way to score it. On the off chance, you can also like finish somebody off with Skylark's gunshot, but that's asking a little more.
Especially when you don't want to just roundabout me to the cover hex behind me because you're still adjacent to the Gore Hulk.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I do take a charge with Slithale here at Drom, and I don't need Grievous on here because he's only got 2 health left. So all I got to do is get a successful hit through. Landing 2-3 successes if you count Voidling, putting you on a crit.
Yep. Crit does not happen.
Yeah.
So Drom down.
That's a huge kill because it's a 5 wound fighter. It is primacy, and it is 2 kill surges.
So, Brian, for the fans at home, did you, in this situation, consider actually rolling a crit?
I tried. But yeah, so the point at which my confidence finally cracked was when I wasn't able to kill Slithale with that sneaky attack and not heal Drom there. So once he charged onto there, I was like, he's a goner. Prayed for that crit. Didn't happen. So going into end phase, I don't think you bothered to flip anything. I wasn't on anything. So I ended up ditching Reckless Swing, I ditched it because your elves were all spread out.
Scatter.
I didn't score anything, but I kept Savage Slaughter, Bold Deeds, hopefully killing one more Shadow Elf. I was not going to be leaving your territory, and I drew into Wasteland. or I'd spent all my ploys, so the only ploy I hadn't spent was Victory's Reward for the heal.
Mhm.
As I said out loud to Davy, this was my vanity keep, because I thought that this was a good pick. And drew into Great Strength, Primal Lunge, Mask of Shadows, and Overhead Smash.
If people don't know what Mask of Shadows is,
Yeah, so it's a illusion. Put it on a fighter. That fighter can't be targeted by your attack actions unless you're adjacent to me.
I think it's an interesting pick. I know a lot of your fighters. So I say a lot of your fighters, like you have more than 3. 2 of your fighters have that range too. But Gorehulk definitely wants the hugs.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely get that pick.
yeah, I don't. Obviously, it's still in your hand. I don't like that because 2 of my fighters that are going to do the most work in this are range 2, and they'd rather be there poking at you, forcing Herax to get a hold of Blood Tithe, even to be able to do that. And Gorehulk has to just take it. So if you make me get up close, that's no bueno.
Yeah, I felt smart, and then I did it not smart.
So before we jump over to Davy's end phase here, you've lost Drum, so your confidence is shaken. Drum is now worshiping with his own blood, and the life force is drained from his eyes. We have Gorehulk and Herix left with no damage down on either of them, grouped up within range 2 and 3 of the elves. What is your game plan shaping out to be with your new hand here? How do you feel going into this next round?
I wish I drew more pushes.
That is the most Brian thing that the viewers could hear today.
No kidding.
The day I heard you say you had too many pushes in Dread Pageant, I had to pick my jaw up off the floor.
Yeah, it was an out-of-body experience. But I think we still have Davy's end phase.
Absolutely. So, Davy, do you score anything here in the end phase?
I did not. I threw away Winged Death so that I'd have an empty hand. I just didn't see a way that Winged Death was going to be likely to score, so I didn't want to clog my hand. I've made that mistake before with these guys. And then I had played out my power card hand, so I drew a full set. I drew into 3 end phases here, which is understandable because I've already scored. I think I scored 5 surges and threw away the 6th, so that's all I got left as end phases at this point.
Seems rough.
Yeah, that's fine.
So going into round 2, Davy has 7 glory, and I have 4.
Yeah,
and you will get a point for primacy here, so it's 8-4.
8-4, a fair amount unspent. I've drawn into Coiling Darkness, which is end with 2 people in cover. One of them who's made an attack. Chum the Waters. Somebody's got damages on a feature token, and then Proud Commander. And then my power cards are 2 pushes with Heated Instinct, Cover of Darkness, Master of Shadows for rerolls out of cover, Aided by Darkness for +1 damage if the target or the attacker are in cover, and then one of the pings, the Suffocating Mists.
All right, so you want to have a few fighters positioned in cover hexes at the end here, and you want ideally your opponent on a feature token as well with a little bit of damage down. So with those goals in mind, are you kind of anticipating seeing where one of these 2 charge and hoping it's near a token and then trying to like push them on for that?
So right now, as I stand, Slithale is starting to get powered up. She's got 3 defense. She's got a defensive bump from Voidling, and then she is decent enough. She's an accurate attacker, and I have all 3 of my fighters have range to his fighters. So I'm like, my first priority is going to be try to kill these dudes or kill one of them and make it hard for him to do anything in round 3. And I'll see if I can manipulate it with, drive backs and stuff to make stuff happen. But right now the priority is to reduce the incoming attacks to try and maintain that. I've already got the lead. Now I just want to improve my board advantage.
Makes sense. Josh, any bold predictions for round 2?
I don't know about bold predictions so much as I see an interesting conundrum on the board right now. So Slithale is indeed powered up, but if you open up with an attack onto Herrick's and it succeeds, that gives him access to range 2. Nothing that you've got right now is going to just flatten him. So even if you drive him back, you're putting him within range of Drusilla or Celark there. So I'm real curious to see what the solution to that is.
The solution is to not see the problem.
Oh. Oh. Well then, let's watch that problem unfold, shall we?
And with that, we have a dice roll off.
And for reference, neither of my fighters are injured. It was just Drom, so I'm not totally hopeless right now.
Yeah.
Clean bill of health across the crew. They're gonna try their best to change that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I do start off with a Slothail into Herrick's, I believe. Yep. I get him 1 success to no successes, lay 2 damage on, and then I'm doing a lot of at this point I believe I was talking out loud to myself quite a bit, and Brian was something like, "So are you driving me back or not?" And I was like, "Oh right. No, I'll leave you there." And then Brian proceeded to make me scared that I made that choice.
As he well should. And it looks like Mask is coming out here. Who on?
Herrick's.
I was curious.
Sorry, I did see Josh's conundrum, and so I put Mask of Shadows on him just to hopefully mean that I had more targets, but now I put great strength on Herrick's as well, so he can slap for 3 and Slothail's in range.
So tell me this, I think it probably doesn't matter, but when you put a defensive upgrade on somebody in the power step before your activation, that feels early. Is there a reason you did it this early, or
it was early?
Okay.
Bold of you to assume you won't put yourself in a lethal.
I think I started off this match with saying I wasn't going to overthink things because I don't want to muddy the waters for my WTC match. So I'm going to default to that excuse.
Sometimes you're looking at a card in your hand and you're like, I'm going to forget this so I don't play this now. It's coming out. All right. So for Brian's first activation here, I'm going to guess this is a flex up hit from Herrick's coming down.
Into Slothail.
Getting
a crit.
Oh, no.
And Slothail crit and double successes back. She's got a lot going on there.
So then he suffocating missed me to ping off the mask.
Yeah, the damage here wasn't super relevant.
No.
It was really important to get that mask away.
Yeah.
You got a little schmutz on your face there. Let me get that for you.
All right, and in power, we're going to continue to load up Slothail with our third upgrade being Master of Shadows.
Reroll.
Absolutely. Into the next activation, we have dice going down. Brian, who's your target?
That's me. I'm swinging because it's Herrick's is just.
He get it. He gone.
Yeah. Herrick's had just missed Slothail, and then he gets his crit defense, but I had a crit and success, so that finishes him off for another point for me.
Favorite time to roll crits is when they don't matter.
So now
you'll love to see those wasted crits.
So now I'm left with a unwounded Gorehulk, not adjacent to anybody, with 7 activations remaining in the game for me.
All right.
This is looking like a real good game for the Gorechosen there.
Yeah.
A real exercise of their capabilities.
Hey, I do a little work. Give me
corn cares not, am I right?
Hey, I saw you stand 2 rounds strong with Vasilak today in that game you described getting punched in the face on. You could easily pull some tricks out of your hat here.
I do something cute.
Looking forward to it. All right, so we're on to Brian and a charge from the Gorehulk into Slothail. You've got 2 activations left. What's your thoughts here?
Panic.
Absolutely fair.
Gorehulk is confused.
Gorehulk comes in with 2 successes to my 1 and smushes. And now I'm pretty scared because I only have 2 guys that are not inspired, and there's all a Gorehulk. I do have a sizable lead, but Brian makes some money out of this one.
Panic into calm. So I do get Savage Slaughter there, and I got a glory from the kill, 2 glory, and take primacy. I do also have Primal Lunge in hand, so I thought that might be a nice pocket sand later on.
Is Hulk smashing a leader into primacy the cute thing, or is the cute thing coming later?
Later.
Ooh.
Stay
All
tuned,
right.
dear viewers.
With that, we have an Inspire on Gorechosen. What's the objective you draw into there?
Chum the waters.
Ah,
Tall order here.
that's gonna...
Right. Anyone you hit is dead. So
touche. All right, and Primal Lunge down onto Gorehulk, along with your new primacy to fuel it. Like to see that. And next activation from Davy is a charge with Skyler onto the cover the board provides into Gorehulk with a charge. So go ahead.
Yeah, I lay 2 crits in here. What I'm trying to do is get some damage and get him onto cover. So if I can damage him and drive him back onto a feature token, then Chum the Waters will score for me. I also am trying to get on to cover. I only got 2 guys left to do it. Get them onto cover with one of them having made an attack. And so this goes. Brian gets to roll another useless crit. So
feels good.
Yeah.
We need to have a discussion about budgeting your crits, man.
Send it.
All right. So onto the cover token. So you've pretty much got Chum secured there, despite, or I'll be possibly push that coming down later. Not 100% sure about that. Pressing forward into the power, we have Aided by Darkness coming out. Who's that going down onto? That is for Drusilla.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, he's doing that because my 3rd activation was spent drawing a power card, and I drew into Gifted Bulk to bring Gorehulk up to 7 wounds like a true Mollog.
Yeah. So we're kind of in an arms race here. And then a little unfamiliarity with the deck. Brian was dropping overheads. He was really excited to play overhead smash, is I think the way we can summarize some of the next few things here. Realizes that he has to be adjacent before he can play it.
Oh, interesting. You were playing it as if you could taunt them to get closer. It's like, come on, come over here and hit me.
Yeah. Like if I end up next to you,
well,
then you're gonna get smashed. So,
not reading the card. Dear viewers, always read the card. I was planning to play it in the power step, and then sacrifice my primacy token to make a move with Primal Lunge, so I thought I could load a gun to his head. But that is not how the card works. Read the card.
Oh, I like that plan, though.
It'd be cool. He raises his hands up and just starts running at you.
That's called the charge action.
Yeah, he's done some of those.
All right, so...
I whiffed with Drusilla. Big coming in for the potential 3, trying to chip you down some more, but didn't work. The only thing I did accomplish was I inspired myself because you had been wounded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we didn't have any power to play, so I did.
Well, you did. You reacted here. Right?
Yeah, sacrificing the primacy token to make that move action, throwing the Gorehulk between both of your Shadow Elves in the remaining, the 2 remaining Shadow Elves, both in cover, with Gorehulk standing right between them.
And the listeners can't see this, but it is picturesque. Like right in the middle of the board, 2 of those very natural cover hexes with 2 Shadow Elves in it. It feels like this moment was made for Nether Maze.
Yeah. I thought this was, so I know what you were trying to do here is figure out a way to set up your overhead smash again.
Mm-hmm.
It has text on it that says it has to be used in your power step and can't be used in the last power step. So it won't actually be able to be played. But even that aside, I thought this was a pretty strong move to set yourself up for the next round. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I still hadn't read the card.
Priceless.
I was clinging to hope. We're back to panic.
On my end, I'm still sitting. I know you got 2 power cards, and I actually know what one of them are because it's popped up a couple times. But I have 2 pushes. I have Heated Instinct and Cover of Darkness, and I was hanging on to these just to make sure I was whatever you did. If you had some sort of distraction or something, which I don't. I'm so used to having played. I guess Hypnotic Buzz is something you could have had. I'm so used to having played in the days where distraction was in every deck that until I see it, I'm like it's still out there, even if it couldn't possibly be out there because it's no longer in rotation.
Yeah, it's in there
Go
somewhere.
get you, Davy.
It's
Well,
there
yeah,
somewhere.
so I was holding them to guarantee Coiling Darkness. What I could have done at this point, I could have gotten one of them out of dodge. Like I could have used Cover of Darkness to get Drusilla to another cover hex that's 2 away, so she can keep poking at Gore Hulk from a safe spot, and then that gives me an option on my turn to like charge Psylark away or something like that. But I don't do that. I hang on him, which isn't terrible, but I think it might have been better to use him and draw into more cards.
Going
But-
into
Go
end
ahead.
phase here,
Yep.
we have Brian scoring first.
No, so actually my final activation, since I had to make 2 activations after
Thank you.
charge, I am cycling Chum the Waters out.
I'm really not holding on to the concept that Davy went first in this round.
No, but I drew into a worthy offering. Score this in an end phase if your warband has 2 or more Blood Tithe counters. Gorehulk
Yeah.
is sitting on 4.
He's drowning in Blood Tithe. It's just all over the place. It's gross.
I keep slipping.
So then, end phase, starting
Yeah.
with Davy here.
Yeah.
Here-
I do get Coiling Darkness. I've had that locked in. I'm crawling my way towards Proud Commander. I've got 6 scored. My leader's dead, so I got to get a 7th scored, and it has to be an end phase. I didn't ditch Chum the Waters. I figured there's a good chance that Gorehulk would not die, but be damaged somewhere, and I might be able to engineer him being on something, but it's also possible Brian be too savvy to get on there. I couldn't remember what my other ones were, and so I just stuck with that. And like I said, I had my 2 pushes. After my mulligan, Silent Helm finally rears its head again, and then I draw 2, essentially 2 pings. There's Rippling Darkness, and there's Shade Stalker Darts, which is that extra attack.
All right. Brian better stay off cover.
Yeah.
So then going into Brian's scoring here, you flip your whole hand here. What do you score?
So I've got Bold Deeds, a worthy offering for having more than 2 Blood Tithe, and Wasteland. So I score all 3 for 4 glory.
Yeah.
Bringing the totals up to 11 on Davy's side, Brian at 10.
Mm-hmm.
So neck and neck, regardless of the early down fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this, as far as how we're feeling, I guess I don't know what Brian's drawn into, but for my side of it, I don't like that he's sitting next to me. I know that he didn't discard Overhead Smash, so that's a problem. I've got a couple pushes, so I've got some insurance against that. But Gorehulk inspired with Ferocious Bite means that he's throwing, if he's attempting his accurate thing, not his accurate thing, if he's attempting his Crushing Grip, he's 4 dice Fury with lethal damage on either one of these. And that feels like it could just be a 1-2 and done. So I'm a little, but pretty antsy about how this next round is going, especially since I thought I'd built a pretty safe thing. I do think that I can probably make it to Proud Commander because I drew into Wasteland, and his territory is not going to get flipped. So I think I'll score. I think I've got 3 glory that are going to score, so I feel confident I'll end on 14, no matter what. And so the question is, can he? In my mind, can he get his way to 4 glory? Because then, if he can do that and maybe kill both my guys, like I need to try to not get wiped out, so he doesn't just win on wipeout. So I'm pretty nervous about this next round. I don't know how you're feeling.
At this point, he's got primacy coming to him if he gets 1 kill. Just with how much damage output that Hulk's doing. So that's a 2-point kill, unless you have some way to steal it back, which I would imagine you don't.
No way at all. I'm definitely not getting enough Gore Hulk because I am not doing what this boy's 7. Yeah, we figured out he'd have to heal himself, and then I'd have to do a 7 damage hit, which it's a little too much for a little too steep for my blood.
And no back pocket feign strength.
Yeah, right.
To take it
What,
away.
you didn't bring your pocket monologue to party?
Nope. That was for WTC.
So, and then for my card draws, so I scored all 3 objectives, and then I had 2 ploys in my hand. The ploy being Overhead Smash, and the other being Victory's Reward. Still my vanity pick that I'm still clinging on to. I drew into Countercharge, Duel of Wits, and Weighty Blessing. Countercharge, not really good. A little repositioning now. Duel of Wits I'm feeling happy about. Weighty Blessing, I'm a big fan of this card. Seems really strong. That's the option to give a fighter 1 defense or cleave. Cleave's not a factor here, and an extra shield seems good now on my 2 shield Gore Hulk with 6 wounds. As for my objectives, I drew into Glorious Battle, Contest of Equals, and Unafraid. So I'm either going to kill and not score, or I'm going to not score, or not kill and score. But Glorious Battle, unfortunately, realized this is a Gorechosen objective, end phase. Score if 4 or more fighters each have 1 or more charge tokens and or more blood tithe counters. I did not foresee this probability of not enough fighters to go around.
Got it. So you mentioned countercharge in there, and one of the things that I think gets overlooked on that card is that if your target is charging from a range, coming at you with a range 3, range 2 attack, you can close that distance with the targeted fighter. A lot of people kind of conceptualize that the card limits them to bringing another fighter into the fray. But you can get some good mileage out of it when you have a range 3 fighter trying to skirt away, and you can just bring that gap back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Josh, any bold predictions going into round 3?
I think it's a coin toss at this point, or rather a toss of the dice.
All right.
I got a question for you, Brian. So I'm looking at it, and I'm saying I've got 14 glory. That doesn't matter what happens. I've got 14 glory. Do you feel like you have a glory floor right now? Because my floor is 14, and I may be able to find a way to get more. What is your floor right now?
I might be staring at it.
So you don't have a guaranteed score. All your stuff is going to require things to happen. Okay.
Contest of Equals bricks more often than I'd like, and Unafraid. If things go well for me, that's not going to score, and if things go poorly for me, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, that's interesting though. Unafraid feels like a backup. So like if you can get a kill and get close to the other guy, then it's a consolation. If you don't, actually, your ideal might be get a kill, Contest of Equals on the other guy, get Unafraid off of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
But
so for the roll off here, we have Brian winning the roll off with a crit.
Yeah, I think Brian, as we were rolling these, is like, I got to win one of these, right?
Yeah.
Sure did.
Sure did.
With that positioning, this would be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get cute. All right, so I'm making my choking grip attack. I'm going to ensure that I have a punching bag with me before the Shadow Elves try and flee. So I'm going to try to put a move token on Drusilla by making a 3 dice plus 1 with Ferocious Bite, 4 dice hammers, stagger, ensnare, and throttle to give a move token and spend a blood tithe token to cause an additional damage for 2 on Drusilla.
So it's a tough one here. If you in retrospect, you look at that roll, and if that had been a crushing grip attack, that'd have been a kill.
Yeah.
Because I rolled no successes to you would have had 1 fury in that. You went with a more accurate to lock me down in there.
Or no, I needed hammers, so I got 2 successes there with ensnare.
No, I'm saying that if you had gone with crushing grip,
I see.
The lethal damage attack, then that.
Hindsight would have been a kill, yeah.
Yeah, so I get away with it. I'm actually sweating hard because I don't know if Brian's brought any pings. And I was like, maybe that's why he did this. He went with the accurate thing to like make sure, guarantee he gets the attack through, and then he follows up with a ping and just kills Drusilla. And I probably, based on his choices there, I probably should have gone with a Heated Instinct off of here to avoid the ping. I decided I got to gamble that he doesn't have it. I'm gonna try and engineer a way to kill Gorechosen here. I gotta find a way to do 6 damage. Drusilla's got 4 damage that she can do, and I am holding effectively 2 pings. But I have to get you onto a cover, and I have to successfully hit with Shadestalker darts from Drusilla. So I think my better play here would have been to step off, but I didn't. You get to duel off this as well, right?
Yeah, so I Duel of Wits off it, drawing into Lurking Horror, which is an upgrade. Interesting. Call of Blood. I got really excited, and then I realized Drum, sad, cry.
Drum is dead. I did get Shadestalker darts landed, and did get you drive you onto that cover, so it's coming together. Yep. And I'm like, all right, I can really do this. And then you kind of throw a little bit of a wrench in the works.
Yeah, I'm realizing, Skyler, I could have used countercharge there to reposition Gorechosen around Drusilla, potentially around Sylark even further. However, I don't think that would have saved me here.
Well, there hasn't been a charge yet.
Oh, no charge, right.
Yep.
Brave
Companion. Brave Companion would allow you that option after being targeted.
I think I forgot that Brave Companion didn't require a charge. That's
but does Brave Companion? It's another fighter responding to another fighter getting charged, right?
Ooh, it might. Countercharge might be the only one there that gets the benefit of repositioning the targeted fighter. I think you're on point there. We may never know.
Some cards. So then you start throwing the ping barrage at Gorechosen.
Yeah. So next up, I'm gonna Rippling Darkness you, so that I'll take another one off. Now you're in kill distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Gorechosen sitting on 3 wounds, 4 health remaining, adjacent to a lethal.
Yeah.
And I play Overhead Smash.
Yeah. So what this does, the damage at the end of the next activation?
At the beginning of my next activation, because you were doing this attack in a power step after my first activation.
Yeah.
So we got to go through your activation, and then at the beginning of my next activation, Overhead Smash would smash for 2 to a fighter next to me, which I picked Sylark, so it would have to be Sylark that's stuck around.
Yeah. So you have more than enough that you would kill Sylark here, and I panic a little bit. I forget that I've got a little while. Like Gorechosen really winds up with this, right? Mm-hmm. So we had a little conversation. You guys would enjoy this, I think. I used Cover of Darkness to run Sylark away to a different cover. He's still in range, so he can shoot if it comes to that. That's probably a silly thing. So I did 2 things with this. I ran away too early. I could have waited. And the advantage to waiting next to Gorechosen is that I would provide Drusilla with supports for her very important attack that she's about to make. But there's another caveat on Cover of Darkness, and that is Gambits cannot deal damage. This effect persists until the end of the next power step. So if I didn't want to move, I could just play that.
I love those, because I forget about that aspect of Cover of Darkness too.
Literally never seen it used, but you might if there's overhead smashes around.
Mm-hmm.
I love when you revisit a card and you go, wait, it does what as well?
Yeah.
For something else that I never use it for?
Yeah.
Absolutely. One power card that we missed here is Weighty Blessing, coming into play on Brian's side, choosing the shield token for that +1 defense, so making the Gorechosen much hardier here with 2 shields on that 7 health.
Yeah, this feels rough for me because I'm just going to be going straight 3 Fury into 2 block. That is not the best of odds.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
You're actually on cover as well to make it even
Mhm.
worse. So
Which really comes into play with this next upgrade here. So Lurking Horror comes in, helping make his attacks a little more accurate, but he also comes into play with that reaction that will allow you to move or push, off of a cover hex, 1 hex after your activation step. And another crit from Davy.
oh yeah, get on my level.
Love to see him.
He was tight. So, Gore Hulk down. Drusilla made a 4 damage attack on him to kill him. There's 2 glory for the big boy fighter, and all my plans are kaput. So then I get to commiserating, and Davy has 3 activations as well as I do. I can't score anything out of my remaining objectives. Well played.
Yeah, good game all around.
Yeah.
Those shadow elves are very pingy, but they can also hit really hard. Drusilla and SkylerSlythal, man, they can truck.
All right, so here at the end, we have 3 activations left from both players. Brian's going to spend all 3 actions commiserating.
Yep.
Davey, do you take any action on the final 3 here?
I think we just kind of call it. I figured that I'll score that Wasteland and Proud Commander puts it at 16-10, and I think we're happy to just say that's about where it's at. From my perspective, though, that was very close to potentially disastrous because, like I said, if Drusilla misses that, then he gets to start stomping through, and then maybe this doesn't go so well. So 16-10 makes it sound more lopsided than it was. He still had a route to victory through there, especially since Gore Hulk was about to be real accurate. He's got like 2 extra dice, but drop a miss, which you're going to do when you're rolling that many. So
Yeah, but I think with Proud Commander in the end, you would have still had the clincher for. You would have scored 15. Most I could have scored would have been 13.
I think my ceiling was 14. That's where I would have ended. I don't know if you had gotten your little play with the throttling grasp would mean that killing Drusilla does not get you primacy.
No, but I definitely give it to Skyler.
You could get it off of Skylark. So
yeah.
Between just on the kills and that, you could have worked your way up to 13. I don't know if you had something in hand that would have scored. So I think there was a possibly a route forward for you, but yeah.
Noticing that Lurking Horror actually states after your activation step.
Right.
What's interesting about that, though, is it's not specifying, this fighter's activation step or another friendly fighter's activation step. So I'm kind of assuming that he could draw a power card and then still tackle that push.
Absolutely.
Oh. That is going to be a fun tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You want to make it even more fun is give that fighter the Darkening Stone.
And then just start surfing around the board.
Yeah, then wherever you are, after every activation step, you can push that fighter. So,
wow.
Yep.
Okay. You want 2 soundless steps? Go for it.
Yeah.
Well, then you can get in position for overhead smash.
Yeah, the big thing is like you can keep pushing while somebody else is. You can activate the rest of your warband and keep pushing that person while the rest of the warband activates. So, if they're way back, I mean, whatever, you can get some pushes out of it. If you set your feature tokens and cover appropriately, you could, potentially move yourself up. It's crazy, but it's good enough accuracy that the side thing on the side is just a bonus. So
absolutely,
yeah. Talk about what Josh was saying with Nether Maze being picturesque in the sense of like just moving shadows and like Gore Hulk swatting at clouds of mist.
Yeah,
love it. All right, well, so that's a wrap on our game. Where do we go from here?
Well, it's similar to what I was saying at the beginning. Is I've had a theory that drama is going to be similar to Diantelos. You're, as the opponent, you're very likely going to want to dive him to, not as urgent as Diantelos, but really helps to mitigate a lot of the disruption his Enrage ability can cause, and it's a 2-wound fighter, so you're going to get a lot of seed glory out of it.
That helps steer the ship quite a bit, because that's definitely something that we should tackle is, takeaways from your time with the Gorechosen and Davy's time against them. When you were playing with them, was there anything particularly strong that was stronger than you expected, or in line with your expectations, or possibly something that fell flat for you that you were excited about?
Something I wasn't relying on was Gorehulk Smash hitting all the time. I was not expecting that to hit every time, and I wish I had used it more, even though it's not reliable and you shouldn't rely on it to do it. But I think I was bringing the other fighters up, including Drom. Protect your Drom and read your cards.
But, and today's letter is.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can really play around with them being restricted to only range 1. I'm honestly thinking of putting in that new spicy range 2 cursed. Is it the boarding pike? Oh
yeah, cursed boarding pike. It's so good.
Yeah, because
that thing looks like a menace.
Even though adding a different weapon profile into this warband seems redundant with the power that they can bring, getting constant range 2 on people, with especially the Gorehulk, is something I'm really tempted by. I don't know. But lots more pushes. More pushes is my takeaway.
Sounds like Brian takeaway.
Yeah, I definitely think that's valid, because anytime that you can't maximize your 4 activations with 3 fighters or fewer, depending upon how the things are going, it's a bad time.
Yeah.
Is Commanding Stride in this build?
It is not.
How would you feel about that?
That's actually, especially with needing to protect Drom more, sitting him way at the back, that might be more viable if I completely... Because I also want to hold... I think Drom's Enrage ability is best if you just kind of bank on the guaranteed 1 per round and just use it as a threat to the end phase scoring per round. So I wasn't really intending to use Enrage until I saw a really critical moment like that. So sitting him in the back even further and waiting for Commanding Stride to come up to cautiously move him forward rather than really make him an active participant might be the way to go. But first, I want to really rethink my objective deck. Had a couple of cards in here that could easily brick. I think you do need to approach Fearless Seekers and Horrors in the Dark, or some of the positioning stuff. I don't personally like their 1 end phase objective where it's be in No Man's Land or within 1 hex of No Man's Land, because I would hate to get that round 3 and have to walk backwards. But as all deck list strategies go, you should probably start with the objectives, and I don't think I brought a strong objective deck here. But Josh,
that's an actually excellent point. I think one of the things that I'm going to have to take more of a look at personally is what these guys look like at the turn of the season. Because just looking at the deck here that Brian put together, I'm seeing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, four of those objectives that are cycling out at the end of the season, and honestly, 3 of them are the easiest ones. We're looking at Bold Deeds, Unafraid, and Wasteland. Those I would say are arguably the easiest for this warband to score, and half of your end phase going away is rough.
Yeah, one thing though, looking at that is they do bring a lot of great surges for themselves. Savage Slaughter, Untouchable Fury, and a Brutal Reckoning. Those are really solid. A Worthy Offering, their own end phase. It's just 1, but I don't know. That's 3 solid surges that I think that is going to serve them really well going into the future.
Yeah, Savage Slaughter isn't even theirs, but it feels like it's theirs because it
Yeah.
came out at the same time.
Well, and we could probably talk in a different conversation about how the Grand Alliance cards have been going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'll add one cute trick that I'm interested in seeing played out with the Gorechosen that is on Dire Chasm rotation time is Haughty Resistance. I
Mm.
en- I enjoy the prospect of having these big beefy fighters being like, come on, attack me, and then sometimes being able to control that attack and force it, and possibly award yourself primacy just by disabling one of their fighters and getting them to attack maybe the only valid target, and you made sure to paint that target with Haughty.
I like that. I'm also not surprised that the Mad Mob guy is talking about playing tricks with primacy. So.
I know, right? So I think the one thing that you really got to keep in mind with this warband is anytime that Drom is in range to pull off an enrage, he's also a viable target because it's range 4 and everybody has movement 3 typically, like unless you're playing Sepulchral Guard, right? Most
Or
people
dwarves.
have at least 3 movement, so it's going to be tough. You've got to be able to both build up Drom and maybe keep a support next to him to at least make it a unlikely attack. But anytime he's using that, he is a viable target.
Yeah, I tried to think that through. Like, what if there was somebody you could force to charge that couldn't actually reach you, like the Chosen X's or Uninspired Thundrix, if they usually have range. But like, yeah, Sepulchral Guard or just really slow fighters, because if they have move 3, they can reach you with melee. But Chosen X's might not if they're not inspired. And just throwing this out there, if say a Chosen X was at range 4 with Drom enrages him, he could only move 2, so he can't actually engage in melee with Drom. Therefore, you can't complete the action, so you just don't get to do enrage on that guy, right?
Yeah, that's how I would do that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think his fighter card reads. Let me see here. Let's see. Remove X or X's. Choose a visible fighter with no move or charge within 4 hexes. The chosen fighter's player makes a charge action with that fighter, then stagger that fighter. Yeah.
So that doesn't say you can't, but it does. There is precedent that the what is it? What would the verbiage be? The entire sequence needs to happen.
Right. So you couldn't just. I don't know why you would want to. I don't know if there's any tech that plays off of an enrage action. But otherwise, you're pretty much just wasting an activation.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot there, like a lot of potential, a lot of complications, and I think the people who figure out how to leverage that will be the people who figure out how to do well with Gorechosen.
I think it's a really well thought out ability.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I think Drom is going to be an absolute menace against hold warbands. And we just got a whole bunch of, I wouldn't say a whole bunch of, but a decent bolster to passive play. So I think these came at the right time where they're going to they're going to be a little bit more okay with invading, and then just, you want to sit on that objective? How about instead you come fight me?
We also did our test matches against 2 assassin warbands and aggro hexbanes, so didn't get their choice of particularly juicy targets with hold objective warbands, but would be fun to see. I like that they've had a lot of cards that have been incentivizing leaders to score objectives, and we have assassins in full force now. So there's a healthy meta going on where there's a lot of counterplay warbands.
To piggyback off of what Josh was saying there with the meta that they're releasing into. One of the things that I really like about the release is them coming out right after Hexbane Hunters, because they introduced to the game a warband that can remove charge tokens, and then immediately follow up that release with a warband that can force charges and essentially awarding charge tokens.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a cool dynamic back and forth.
I like that dichotomy there.
Yeah.
All right, Davy, how was facing the Gorechosen? Did you have any particular moments where you really felt their presence and was more so afraid of what they could output there? Or I suppose just, how was it on your side of the table holistically?
Well, I had. I mean, the thing is, like with Gore Hulk being able to put out 3 damage, and with me starting out at these low damage ideas and being incentivized to like chip them so that I can inspire, I was giving them a ton of blood tithe, and that created big problems for me. Like there was an early turning point in the game where he had a decent attack. If he'd gotten a crit with Drum going over the top into my leader, I think this game goes a very different way. So just when you're bringing that much damage, it is scary. And I was also real worried while Drama was still alive. I was real worried about Call of Blood since I have so many parts of my warband rely on specific positioning, both for scoring and for leveraging their abilities. I was real concerned with having a double distraction to pull me off of them. So felt under pressure the whole time, and I think it was, like we said, a game that could have split the other way at a couple junctures.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, as an observer, any final takeaways from you?
I think the biggest takeaway for me for this warband is just their complexity. There is no they're not quite, oh gosh, how does Phil put it, an unga bunga warband like the orcs are. They don't just want to dive all the time. They don't want to necessarily just hold all the time. I think there's some flex to them, and finding the happy medium for that is going to be the challenge.
Yeah, really happy with the design.
The design team has been killing it.
Yeah, and you already mentioned it, Skyler, but Set the Tempo was really appreciative of their design. He's of the opinion that a lot of people think this is a B tier warband, and he thinks in the right hands they can get to A or even S just because of all their things. And that may hold out to be true or may not, but that's what you want. You want a warband that if you super deep dive on, you can get real good with. And I think there's a lot to explore with these guys. So
right, they've been doing really great with warbands that reward pilot practice and experience.
Right.
I think when you sit down across the table from these guys at a tournament, you have to immediately take them seriously or you're going to get caught out.
Yeah.
With that, Davy, do you want to take us into the outro?
I think I will do that. In this case, you kind of had the maiden voyage of our 3 new hosts. You're not gonna, like I said, you're not gonna have everybody on at all times. We're gonna be rotating. I was kind of talking about them as being field correspondents. So, for example, if we have somebody we need to talk about Soul Raider Mad Mob, then Skyler's going to be our guy, and Kanan. Then we got Josh and Dread Pageant. Then we've got Brian. So he's got kids too. Yeah. And then as new warbands come out, but it just gives us some more personnel to try and do some new things. We're going to see what we can do. See if we can expand out, provide some more things for that listener base. So hopefully new and cool and big things coming. But I just wanted to thank you guys for coming on and stepping up. And it was pretty timely because we had just decided we were going to do it, and then we almost immediately needed you. So it happened in the reverse order that you might have thought. Was not we need somebody. It was let's get some people in case we need somebody. Oh crap, we need somebody right now. So
Happy to help.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Takes no less than 3 to stand in for Phil.
yeah, right. All right. Well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can talk to us at WTHcast or whatthehexcast@gmail.com, or come on our Discord. I will try to put a link. Tristan called me out for mentioning the Discords frequently and then not providing links to them. We sometimes try to limit those evergreen links because we end up with spammers or bots and stuff coming in. But I'll put one in the notes here, maybe an expiring one that if you've been thinking about it, take a look in the show notes and come join us in there. All these 3 guys are in there all the time talking about it. I'm worried about their job security actually as a result, but we'll see what we go. You can check out all our content at themortalrealms.com. That includes our other shows. It includes all the written content we've started doing for Underworlds. We've been doing card reviews. These guys will be contributing to those in future if we can get some logistics worked out on that. To be determined just how far down the line before that starts happening. Coming up, we've had a number of different requests. I think we're going to try and get Jimmy Molini on to talk about Nova, kind of compare and contrast with Adepticon, and talk about the scene. Skyler, you are kind of heading up one of the more successful leagues. Probably, it's safe to say, in the U.S. Certainly that we hear about much. But we're going to kind of talk about how to structure that. So that's coming up. I think it'd be good if we do. We've got some retrospective stuff we can do. Nether Maze is complete as a season. We've talked about talking about Alliance cards. So we got a lot of ideas brewing, and who knows what new stuff GW has for us coming down the line.
Excited.
Yeah. Hey boys, are you ready for your first flavor text quiz?
Oh boy.
Pop quiz for me.
I'm not exactly sure how to do this with 3 people, so we'll figure it out. I think I'll just have people buzz in with their answers. So if you think you've got it, go. If you get it wrong, we'll go to the next person. I'm going to say Brian, having played this game, has a slight advantage because it's going to involve a card that was in one of these decks. But it didn't actually get discussed at much / at all. All right. The quote, and this quote is not attributed to anybody. You aren't supposed to drink it.
Oh, that's the Darkwater draft.
Oh, I hear Josh from the background.
Yes, sir.
Buzzing in with Darkwater draft. I bring this up. I am in fair play probation for a misplay on the Ranger card. Brian is in deck construction probation for putting this card in. In his defense, he misread it. He thought you would pick it could do one or the other. It could either damage or heal, and you got to choose which one you were fishing for, not realizing that you are fishing for both at the same time all the time, making it
buyer beware.
Yeah, it's a rough one. So I'm glad you didn't draw it in our game, so it didn't have to be a totally dead pick. But
yeah. And honestly, it came in so sharply because I remember looking at that card and going, "Well, yeah, no, you're not supposed to drink it. You're supposed to give it to somebody else and hope it works out well."
I think our comment on the blog was, "You're not even supposed to play it." So, yeah. Oof, it's an oof.
Tell me what to do.
There he is. Let's see. We're going to go with a recommended listening. We're going to go with Brian's feelings at the end of this, and that's a desolation song, and that's by Agalok. Little bit of metal for to complement the very metal Gorechosen warband here. That's going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the new voices. Phil should be back in the mix before too much longer. We're just going to support him in whatever way he needs until he can do that. And we got to go to bed because we got to get to League tomorrow. So
heck yeah.
Let's do it. For what the hex, I've been Davy.
I've been Josh.
I've been Brian.
And I've been Skyler. Vassal save. I was thinking earlier that Vassilac should be more of a poster child for Vassal than he's touted today.
All right.
Fair point.
That's the kind of dad joke that this network is built on. So
This guy's got jokes. Is this the part where I request a hard cut and recognize that was a crock of something?
what?
Excuse me?
Do you
Crock of what?
do you happen to remember who got you your first warband?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I got you two into Warhammer, and then
You
Sky
did?
was like, this thing has hexes.
Are you
Mike?
sure?
Mike got me into Warhammer.
Okay,
That's
back
what I
off.
heard.
This is already enough editing.
Oh my God, what have I done?
Oh, that's an episode for another time.
I was trying to make it a short story.
Yeah, that's a wrap, guys. For what the hex, I've been Davey.
And I've been Josh.
What?